In this video, I'll show you how to macro trillions of honey every hour with Revolution macro. So the first thing you need to do is go to the link in the description of this video and join the Revolution macro Discord server. Once you've done that, go to the Windows or Mac OS channel, depending on what computer you have, and download the latest release. For Windows, you can start up the macro at this point, but for Macs, you need to click on download, move it into your applications folder, then run the macro, and you'll get this pop-up. But since this macro is safe, we're going to allow it anyway. So open up settings and go to privacy and security, and at the bottom you'll see Revolution macro. Click open anyway, and from now on you can just open it normally. Now that you have the macro, the first thing you need to do is click on the settings tab, then click game, and there's a few things you need to change in here. Starting with your move speed, which you need to check in beeswarmsimulator by clicking the gear icon and scrolling down until you see it, then just enter the number into the macro. Also, click this eye so that the macro auto-detects your camera sensitivity. Then click on join, and if you have a private server that you want to macro in, then put the link in here. And if you want, you can change your preferred hive slot, but I'd recommend just leaving it on 1. And that's it for the settings tab. Moving on to the gather tab, the first thing you need to do is go to the settings section and enter in your sprinkler type and put sprinkler spacing to 1. Then click on conversion, and the only thing you need to change here is this number to 95 so that you don't go back to your hive too early while gathering. Now go to the field section and click this plus to add a field, and we're going to select pinetree field. Then click this pencil and you're going to see this menu with a bunch of settings on it. But don't worry, you don't have to edit most of this. Just go to the description of this video and copy the settings I put there, and I'll also put it on screen for you. Then click these 6 dots and paste in the settings. Once you've done that, there's a few more settings you need to enable. First, click align and enable drift detection to keep you from drifting out of the field. Then click misc and enable shift lock so that you face the correct direction. And lastly, if most of your pollen comes from your bag and not balloons, then make sure your return method is set to walk so that you don't lose your pollen by respawning. Then just click this check mark and we're done with the gather settings. Now for the collect tab, starting with dispensers, just enable the ones that you need. For bug runs, just leave these off because they take too much time. In quests, you can enable polar bear without gather interrupt for the polar power, which is very underrated by the way. And in buffs, enable Mondo 60 seconds for the buff, and enable the blue booster because it has a 1 in 3 chance to boost pinetree field. For the planters tab, you can choose between manual or automatic. Manual lets you build your own planter schedule here, which is pretty cool, but I'd recommend just using automatic. So click here to enable it, and make sure that this is set to 2 and this is set to 1. And harvest automatic has to be turned on. In nectar goals, this is where you'll set the priority order for your nectars. This is the best order for Blue Hive, so you can just copy this. And if you don't have the endgame planters, turn comforting down to 70% and invigorating down to 40% so that it doesn't bottleneck your other nectars. You don't need to touch fields, but in planters, make sure you disable any planters you don't own. Keep in mind that it will take about 2 days of macroing to start to fill up your nectars, so if you can't macro for multiple days at a time, then you should only focus on 2 or 3 nectar types. Moving on to the status tab, this is where you can set up hourly reports through Discord. So to do that, click on webhook, then in Discord add a server, edit channel, integrations, create webhook, new webhook, copy webhook URL, and paste it into the macro. And now you will get a chart each hour that your macro is running. And finally, for the last tab, we have tools. In tools, there's quite a few useful features that you can check out if you want to, but those aren't what this video is about, so I'm not going to go over them. I've personally had great results with these settings, and I think that they will work well for you guys as well. Anyway, that's it for this video, so if it helped you out, remember to like and subscribe if you want to, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them.